can start the meeting. Okay. Okay, welcome to the April 9th meeting of the Planning Forum. And I'm just noticing that I had one typo in that agenda. So the forum brings together the Southside community to hear what each organization and sector has been doing over the last month. Although it's not the place to resolve community issues, it's a place to ask questions, ask for clarification, and to learn from each other. Any corrections on or comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, they stand approved. And before we get into the presentation, something that I've grappled with for a long time was how to get information from this meeting out to the community, and have been talking with a few people, I spoke about this at our Southside Community Council board meeting yesterday. And so I'm going to be working with the Community Watch Facebook page to see how that works out. Beth Beach said that she will post things for me, or I can, I may be able to post as we think about that. But other groups, and I'm not, other than Southside Can, I don't see Chamber or the Slopes Association on, and we'll talk with them, via email. But it's really important that we do get this information out to everyone. The minutes come out late. I don't want to say late, but they come out before the meeting. But there's a lot that happens during the course of the month, and we do want that information to go out. And I have a tendency to pull back because I've spent so much time with those minutes prior to when I'm preparing for the meeting. And I really need to, day after, at least take a break in the evening, but the day after, start looking at pieces and then sharing them with the community. So I'm going to be working on that with Beth, and also we have I'm working with a student from Carlo on this. So we'll see what happens and how it works out. But information has to be shared with a larger group. I don't expect everybody to come to this meeting because it's quite a commitment, but there are ways to get information out. So thank you for listening to that. And if you have any ideas, please let me know. So Allison, we can get to your report.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Allison Harden with the Office of Nighttime Economy. I'm reporting first on the Parking Enhancement District, which is the parking meter revenue collected after 6 p.m. on Thursday through Sunday. The March Parking Enhancement District revenue total is $32,877.60. The enforcement costs for March were $2,129.16. And there were a few expenditures, or a couple, I should say. For the February clean team, $12,792.13. And for St. Patrick's Day porta potties, $2,250. The total gross revenue to date for 2024 is $74,074.70. Since the inception of the Parking Enhancement District 7 years ago, 2017, $1,453,749.32. The balance in the trust fund is $396,184.97. I should say that I should point out that that money is not all available. It's some of it has to be encumbered to pay for the clean team. So we have to make sure that there's enough money in the account for the clean team. So it looks like a big number, but there's, it's less than that. There were no liquor license changes reported by LCB this month. So that I'll skip over that. If anybody has any questions about the parking enhancement district, I can take those before I move on to the clean team.
I'm noticing that there's that enforcement is occurring, and that's a pretty good chunk of money each week.
It is. They did have their pay rate went up this year, and also, they weren't charging us for enforcement for a long time during COVID and when they weren't enforcing in the district. So, yeah. And there, you'll note that on the weekend of March 28th, it was less enforcement cost, and that's due to Friday being a city holiday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The clean team is getting pretty settled. They got a couple of good people, it seems like, and former clean team member Mike Wallace is their supervisor, and really working closely and getting them up to speed. They collected a pretty good chunk, 17,350 pounds of trash, which was 4,500 pounds over what it normally was, or what it was in the previous month. And that has to do really with St. Patrick's Day, they think. They're focusing on graffiti tags, but I just had a conversation in a meeting I just came from with James, who is the manager of the clean team. And some of the, particularly the signal boxes, they're having a hard time finding a product that doesn't take off, that will work on the signal boxes. So they're still trying to find a good product. And also, we were talking about potentially, I know some of the businesses were concerned about the graffiti as well, and we're saying, could they help out? So there's a potential for like a volunteer, a guided volunteer crew. Some of the statistics for the month, besides the trash collected, 47 graffiti and stickers removed, 105 hospitality assistants. That means they're being friendly and talking to people, offering directions, and then also something we're keeping an eye on are the alcohol containers starting to show up just a little bit. 25 pounds of alcohol containers on the street. These are not products that are sold in the bars and restaurants. They are larger alcohol containers that people bring to the street and are partying on the street. Now, when you look at the clean statistics, page down, Joyce, there's a year over year for March, and last year it was double this. So I think, that's all due to the Southside Entertainment Patrol really being out there intervening and talking to people and making them dump out their alcohol or get rid of it. So this is, I think we're going to see that we're not going to see the numbers, the big numbers that we saw in previous summers now with the Entertainment Patrol. So that's the report. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to take them.
Okay.
Allison?
Yep. Go ahead, Don.
No, so is this in the materials that were attached, or because these stats are really interesting?
Yeah, I'm always preparing I have to get pieces of the report from 4 different sources, and I don't often get them until like the weekend before. So I'm usually turning it in the day of. So they're a lag time. So last month's report, it was attached with the stuff that Barbara sent out over the weekend, and I she has this one now, so could send it out to the group.
And I did send it out to a few of you. So Dawn, if you look at your email from me about maybe 5:15, I did send that out to a few people, but it
Okay.
will go out. It was requested that it that be part of the documents, and Allison is, when she sends it to me, she's sending it to a few people, and then I'm also sending it out prior to the meeting. Mike, you have your hand raised? Mike?
Yeah, Allison, you mentioned enforcement costs
Mhm.
that we weren't charged before and now we are. What does that mean exactly?
Okay, so we were when we started the parking enhancement district, we did have enforcement and we were charged for it. When the pandemic ensued, there was no parking enforcement going on, and so they were not charging us, and that continued for, I want to say, a couple of years, and so really only recently have they reinstated the enforcement cost for the PED area. This is not the RPP area. This is for the parking enhancement district. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Ro, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I just wanted to say that the clean team has done an amazing job this past month. I mean, I could not believe the day after St. Patrick's Day walking around, it was like St. Patrick's Day never happened. I was really impressed because a few months ago, I really was not so impressed. So I think they did an amazing job. And I have to say, in terms of, I don't know if this falls into the same purview, but this is the first time our streets gotten cleaned and somebody actually was ticketed on the street because they didn't move their car. So that was, I was so thrilled about that. So thank you to the team.
I will pass that along. They'll be very happy to say that.
They were following the truck. They were following the cleaning truck, whatever you want to call it. And they never ever do that. Our streets never gets, our block never gets cleaned. This is the first time, I think, in a couple of years. So it's really wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no more questions for Allison, she, as I had mentioned earlier, is double booked and is going to a meeting with the mayor. Okay, thank you. Joyce, I don't know if I'm not seeing Bob. Is there anything that you think should be shared that he would want you to share at this time?
Yeah, let me pull up my notes. Well, this is probably more for Ship, but I would like everyone to know that our office is in conjunction with Allison and Public Safety. We are putting together a safety and resource fair for Southside business owners and their staff, and this is for all businesses, daytime and nighttime. We have at least 18 community partners and city departments committed to tabling, and then we're going to offer 2 longer trainings, and this will be on May 14th from 2 to 4:30. As of right now, this is only open to businesses and their staff, but depending on how registration looks, we may open it up to District 3 businesses, maybe residents. But Leanne Wilson, who is the public engagement specialist for council, and I will be canvassing the South Side. So if you see us walking around, say hello. So that's the first update. The second update, nothing has been confirmed yet, but we are working on getting a third staff member or a third member of the clean team. There's going to have to be some legal stuff that happens, and Bob will have to introduce an amendment in council. So it won't be the easiest thing, but Bob would like to see a third member added to the clean team. We'll keep everyone updated as we work on that. And yeah, those are actually my only 2 updates. Let me know if you have any questions.
So was there a time when have there only been 2 people on the clean team? I think there was a time there might have been a third, or there was 2.5. I don't know whether Kitty and Jeff would know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm honestly not sure, but Bob is calling me right now, so I can ask him.
Yeah.
The
So I think
question is
I
what?
think there might have been a half. There were always two,
Yeah,
but I
for-
was unsure if there was a third person.
I
And
thought they went down in the winter months, but there
Yeah.
definitely used to be more than two. There were three.
yeah,
Because then the newsletter article we did with them, you know, I don't know how many years ago now, there were three men we interviewed. So
yeah,
I know it used to be three at one point.
Well, but it was two full-time and one guy was
One
working
part-time.
yeah, one was only working weekends, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she's on the phone with Bob now. So
So she'll get the right answer.
yeah,
I did get the right answer from Bob. It was perfect timing. He did confirm that there were 3 people at one point. But over the winter, we usually go back down to 2, sometimes 2.5. But for the summer, he'd like to see 3 people on the team. So I will, like I said, we'll keep you updated with what happens there. But we should have enough money. It's just going to take a little bit of a process.
hmm okay. Is
I
there
had a
anything?
quick question about the safety workshop. Could you elaborate on what that is?
And I sent you and Rebecca an email, so you should have that
Yeah.
information as well. But basically, so what happened was Bob originally wanted to provide a fentanyl testing strip and Narcan training to Southside business owners and their staff. But then Allison had the fantastic idea of maybe expanding and doing a safety resource fair instead, or not instead, but just adding on to that. So she wanted. So the planning committee is comprised of Allison, myself, Cara, who's the Zone 3 Public Safety Coordinator, Malaysia, who works for the Office of Community Health and Safety, and then Leanne, who is in our she works for all 9 members. She's our council engagement specialist. And we have, I can send this list over, Peter, if you're interested, of the 18 partners that we have coming. Yeah, so I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We have Unity Recovery coming. We have Office of Homeland Security. We have, trying to think who else. I think we have Prevention Point, Resolve, and much more than that. I just can't think. But we were trying to cover all our bases: human/sex trafficking, drug overdose. Trying to provide just as much training as possible. We're going to provide de-escalation training for daytime and nighttime businesses. And then Allison was able to get someone to come and do stop the bleed training, AED, and CPR, and active shooter. So it should be very comprehensive, and I really hope that staff get a lot out of it. And I'll send that information over to you as well. We have a lot more than what I first sent you, which is great.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we can go then to the commander's report.
Hello, how are you?
Okay,
All right. I don't really have much. I'll report on St. Patrick's Day from all accounts, with the exception of some gates or bicycle fencing, having to go back and forth with that. That was good, but we didn't have a fight in the South Side until 5:02 that day, and we had very minimal arrests, very minimal. There was 2 fights all day. We seized 5 firearms down there, so we made 5 firearms arrests. For the month of March, we made 12 firearms arrests total down there, which, as I said at the bar meeting earlier today, it's 12 less people that guns shouldn't be in their hands. So I don't think that there's a uptick per se of people carrying guns in the South Side. It's just that we're finding them and arresting them for it at a higher rate. Other than that, I will be there on Tuesday for the CAN meeting, and I'm open for questions.
just a couple from me. Did you, there was a question last month about that geofencing for Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
Did you, did you have an answer for that?
Yes, it goes from 21st Street all the way down to 10th Street.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this is,
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry because you brought up something I did not mention before. We roughly say about 50% of the time on St. Patrick's Day, and the officers that regularly patrol in the south side, they said about 50% of the time that those rideshare lanes are being used. It's just a matter of getting all the people that do rideshare through Uber and Lyft on board with going to the two designated drop-off and pickup locations.
Mhm. Okay. And those stations are permanent. They weren't just for St. Patrick's Day. Am I correct?
Yeah, for sure we're going to keep 18th and Wright's Way a permanent spot. I don't know about how much traffic we're getting, although it's in a desired location for us because it's off the beaten path of 12th Street there. I don't think they're getting the same amount of traffic that 18th and Wright's Way is getting.
Mhm.
It's something that I could probably reach out with Lyft and get. But either we're going to add a third or just move that one probably from 12th Street to somewhere else that's a little more visible for people to get to real quick.
Okay. So it's, I guess it's a work in progress, and you're using data to determine next steps. Another, I know that people are waiting to ask questions. I also, just about the reporting system, if packages are stolen, and we've had a number of packages stolen, I think, over the last month with guys on, it's been young men with backpacks on bikes. And when reporting that to the police, because some people do have cameras and have been able to show who the person was, maybe not the best, but at least they have video. Should that go to a reporting system rather than a call to 911?
Are you saying after the fact, like, so you made your police report already about your packages being stolen, or is it I am going to report my packages and I have video at the same time?
Both, I get. Well, I think if I know that I don't think anyone has necessarily seen the people in action. Although I did and didn't realize and said hello, how are you to the guy. But usually it's people have their packages stolen and they have video, or just that their packages are stolen. But rather than calling 911, I'm wondering if the reporting system is what should be used.
No, you still call 911. The only difference is a police officer is not going to show up on scene to take the report. It's going to go to the telephone reporting unit.
Oh,
If you
okay.
do have, if you do have video, they should at the telephone reporting unit take that, at least take your email address and send you a link for you to download through. I think I've talked about it on here before. Axon Community. So they should have the capabilities to do that. If not, just hold on to the video, and then when our detectives follow up with you, they'll get the video off of you then. I believe Detective Bukowicz had made an arrest for one of those thefts down there last week on that. It's another one of those nationwide trends, unfortunately, for the packages.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing, you call 911 and it's the 911 dispatcher that then refers you to the reporting unit. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So what we do now is you call 911 up. What they'll do is they will say, is it in progress or are you just doing a report? Once they determine that you're just doing a report, what they'll do then is refer you to the telephone reporting unit.
Okay. And then what do you mean by refer to? Will they connect you or?
Yes. So if you're calling between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 a.m., they'll refer you over there. If they are busy though, what they'll do is they'll have a prompt for them to call you back. They have what we call a CAD.
Yeah.
So they'll have like, if I'm looking at a CAD as a supervisor, I'm seeing all the calls that are pending for service. They're looking at the same thing. And once they do a report for somebody else, they'll go, if you're the next person in the queue, they'll grab your information and call you back.
Okay. I'm a little.
I have not. Yeah, I have not heard through all the meetings that I've attended that this is something that it takes hours upon hours. It seems like it's relatively quick.
Okay. I'm just a little slow in understanding the process.
Mhm.
So that's, I apologize for repeating it,
No.
but I'm going to make sure that in sharing information that I'm sharing the accurate information. But thank
Yeah.
you.
If you want, I can always just send you an email of what we respond, what calls will be referred to the telephone reporting unit, and then what the process is. I mean, then that way, if you want to push it out, you could read it right off that I sent you.
Yeah, if you can, I'll send an email to remind you.
Yes, please. That was my next question, is if you could remind me.
Okay, Mike McKay, you have a question.
Yes, I'm just curious. You had said earlier about like during St. Patrick's Day about weapons being confiscated or
Yep.
How does that happen? I mean, is it like somebody's walking down the street waving a pistol, or do the officers?
No. We so there's quite a few ways we do it. For instance, the one person, we have excellent officers that are up to speed with who the violence drivers are in this community, not only from South Side all the way up to Carrick, but also in the different communities as well. Not to give you a history of gangs, but over the past couple of years, they've become more transient, so they don't stick to neighborhoods anymore. But the officers with social media have still been able to follow them. They knew the one gentleman had a warrant for a firearm. So we grabbed him, placed him in custody, and he had another firearm on him with a automatic trigger switch on him. Sometimes the officers will conduct traffic stops, and through the traffic stops, they'll either one way, shape, or form search the vehicle and find a firearm in there. They'll find somebody smoking marijuana right in plain view, or having weed sticking out of their pocket, and they'll stop them and put them in custody with that, and they'll search them. We call incident to arrest, and find a firearm from there. So there's a lot of different ways. Very, very, very rarely that you see somebody waving a pistol around. And the 2 times since I've been in Zone 3, the 2 times that has happened, the one time the gentleman was having a domestic with his girlfriend, and for whatever reason pulled his gun out and fired 2 rounds into the air. Officers quickly apprehended him. And the other time was on New Year's Eve, where somebody did some celebratory shots in a parking lot on 18th. We found the vehicle, stopped him, and put him in custody as well. So I can't speak enough of what the officers, the Southside Entertainment Patrol, are doing down there. They are for sure making the Southside a much, much safer place than it was last July. And to further expound upon that, and I said this at the bar meeting earlier today too, March of last year, we seized in Zone 3, the whole zone, we seized 0 firearms. This last March, we seized 24. So we are absolutely getting back out there and proactively doing whatever we can to stop the violent crime. Obviously, we can't stop it all, but I feel like we're turning the corner, especially in the South Side.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very informative.
Thank you. Jacky, you're next.
Hey, Commander. I know in the past you've shared some of the data with us, including heat maps on where incidents and arrests are made. We have a lot of people curious now about the trail and any activities down there, and if enforcement is happening at all on the trail. And, is there any data you can share in the last couple months of anything going on down there?
In the moment, no. If you have my email, I know you do.
Yes, sir. Yep.
If you send me a email just reminding me tomorrow. I'll send you all the calls for service that we have down on the side or in the riverfront travel.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
all.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Dawn.
Yeah, hi, everybody. So, Jeff, I sent you an email with the question I had, but, you know, so I don't expect an answer here per se, but I seem to have this, you know, mental illness that leads me to believe that I can cure people's desire to spread misinformation.
Yeah, me
So,
too.
but the great, really, the great news is that we're talking about 2022 data. Because the people who are interested in misinformation aren't finding a whole lot of joy in the fact that things have gotten so much better thanks to the SSEP. But just for general knowledge, when it said the shot spotter, when it says shots fired, I always thought it was the number from 2022 was 94. I assume that meant that was the number of shots that were detected, but on the data workbook, it says dispatches for shots fired. So if that's something you can clear up now, that's fine. If not, you can respond to the email and I'll distribute that to the folks.
Yeah, let me look at it a little more, what you sent me. But the way that you were explaining it, it sounds like in 2022, they had 94 calls for service for shots fired. So when we just a little more public knowledge, when the shot spotter, when there's somebody, let's say somebody's standing at 16th and Carson, they let off 3 rounds. We'll get a shot spotter notification right away. They'll say 16th and Carson for 3 rounds. So we'll go to the area, and that would be one event, as opposed to 3 for the amount of.
So that would be
gunshots.
so. Is there a way to know exactly how many shots were fired in 2022?
You would have to go into each of those calls and see how many rounds were left. Yes.
Is that like a knowable thing? Or, I mean, I'm happy to do it if I can have access.
If you allow me to look at what you got, and I could talk to our crime analysis unit, maybe they could further do it. I know I went to the company that does Shot Spotter. They sent us some data too that I could look at, and I do remember it being from 2022 because that was a pretty violent year for us coming out of COVID. So I do know in 2023 that spike went up and then it went down there. So yeah, if you give me whatever you sent me, and I will get with the crime analysis unit and they'll run.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to.
something.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the mat on this, but if it's information I can get accurate, accurate response to it, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you.
Peter.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Commander, for doing a great job on St. Patrick's Day. I mean, from everything I heard, sort of anecdotally, it seemed like it was fairly uneventful. So that's good news. I guess my question is kind of similar to what Don was asking. Is there data and where would I go to find a comparison of what this St. Patrick's Day was maybe compared to other years past?
Or for one day, I could probably find you something. Again, do you have my email address?
I believe I do, but
okay. If you don't, I'll throw it in the chat here.
Okay.
But those are something that I could probably research. We do have a crime map that is up and live, and I believe it updates weekly. You can look at things. I don't know if it goes back from last year or when it went live sometime in the fall or over the summer of 2023.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't want to be asking for a lot of extra time or effort to go into this, but I didn't know if that was an easy thing to figure out.
Sometimes I ask our crime analysis unit, and they have these things already that they've done already. It's just a matter of me asking, so it's no big deal.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
One more thing, Peter, if It's not me. You have to thank. If you do see some of my officers, please thank them. They're the ones that put the work in. I just get to sit here and get praised for it.
All right. Well, I will do that. No, not a problem.
Well, leadership does matter. So we have seen when leadership is not as responsive. So you need to take some of that credit.
You can talk about me when I leave the meeting.
Okay. We do. We do, and in a positive way. Mike McKay.
Okay, yeah, real quick. We, I don't know if this is enforceable or it's gonna be tough. We walked along the trail today and I find that there are more and more openings being cut out in the fence. And there is one spot down by the 10th Street Bridge that the fence is literally destroyed. I mean, they're pulling it down or breaking the pipes, the fittings and everything. And at this rate, it's not going to be long before the fence will be down. And I don't know how you enforce that, but I just thought you'd like to know that that's going on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We actually, right before the bar meeting today, that was also brought to my attention as well. You know, obviously it's criminal mischief. The victim would be the city, so we could enforce something on it. The problem is there's no cameras on those trails, and we would have to essentially catch somebody in the act doing it. My guess is they do it under the guise of night, so it would be even more difficult for us to enforce it. But you know, that's something that we can absolutely at least address during the daylight hours. You know, take a couple spins even in a police car. I know you could fit a police car through that trail. I've done it many a times. So we can try to do a little better down there with at least being visible.
Okay, Jacky, your hand is raised. It may be raised from the last time that you asked a question, but I didn't want to assume that.
It was, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, if there are no other questions for the commander, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy being outside.
Oh, I got to go into an ice rink here in about 20 minutes. So that's why I'm
Okay.
outside right now.
All right, well, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Okay,
now.
we're ready for our updates. So Walnut Capital, Jonathan. I hear the work every morning, so it's going along. It's coming along. Jonathan, you're up.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Right. How are you? Thank you for your time as always, Barb, and to everybody on the planning forum for giving us some time. As you know, demolition has started, and when we're moving along relatively well on schedule. I don't think we've had some concerns from residents, but I don't think there's been a ton of aggravation. We're trying to be as good neighbors as we can. On top of that, we have made our preliminary submission. We had our special exception hearing, as you know, I think 2 weeks ago, and we're waiting on a decision back from the zoning board on that. And we made at least our initial submission on the flats to, which is the construction on the old Southside Hospital piece, to the city for sort of their preliminary review. And I hope to have some feedback back from them in the next, let's call it 30 days. And then once we see sort of where they are on some questions that we have in terms of building location, utility location, and those types of things, we'll be able to have more to share. So we're moving. I know it seems like it's slow, but it's actually fast for us.
It's interesting to walk by and see the demolition in action. And as I said, I do hear it every morning. But it wakes me up. But no, I'm not complaining.
Right.
anyone have any questions? So will come a time, and I think we're probably far away from it, where you would be sharing your plans with the community through at a development activities meeting. And if there's some preliminary design that you may want to have a smaller meeting with the Southside Community Council as the RCO, it would be welcomed, because there are some times that we deal with some projects that it would have been better for the developer to talk with us before the development activities meeting. And so the small changes that might be needed have been made.
Yeah, I think our plan, Barb, is to do that in what I would say, once we get this sort of first round of comments back from the city of Pittsburgh, because there's certain things that are fundamental that we're asking for them to go ahead and talk about in terms of how we have the building sited.
Right.
Once we have that, I would anticipate having a smaller RCO meeting, I would say probably first week of June.
Okay.
And then that would be well in advance of any dam meeting that would be coming up.
Yeah. I think we're fortunate in the South Side to have architects and others on that as residents who can give a lot of good information or feedback. And I think I've learned so much during I think it's our 4 years now as an RCO, having development activity meetings. So, I'm proud of the work that the community does for developers and with developers. So thank you for that.
No, well, I appreciate it and really appreciate the collaboration. And as soon as we have something that we can feel comfortable sharing, I would say, we're going to wait for this first round of city comments, which I expect for sort of first to second week of May. And then I think after that, if we would incorporate those, and then I think we'd be happy to have something to share first, beginning of June.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions for Jonathan? Okay. Thomas, the Ormsby and Armstrong master plan.
Thank you. We'll see you next month, by the way, guys.
Thank you.
Everybody. So upcoming updates, we are our engagements, I should say. We're at the towards the last part of this here. We're looking at doing some engagements on this coming Saturday. So from 2 to 4:30, we'll be at Armstrong Park and at Ormsby Park. We'll have kind of our team split up, and hoping to catch people kind of who are out there, and people can certainly come to us to share their thoughts. We'll have the latest draft drawings that we'll have taken into account all the feedback to date. And then we'll plan to hop over to the spring social and be there for that first hour from 5 to 6 at Velum Fermentation. So between those multiple sites, hoping to gather some feedback, and then we'll be out at the Tuesday neighbor night, Marty and I, that we understand maybe a big one, but we hope to at least kind of be present, and if we can get a breakout session, or if not, at least be kind of there in the back for any folks to provide additional feedback. And then we're hoping to have the kind of the core community cohort that's been involved meet with us on Friday the 19th. This is to kind of also any last thoughts and considerations, and thinking too about kind of the implementation for this. So with that, then the after those last comments from everybody, the consultant team will go back and do final adjustments to the plan, look at the phasing for the costs and implementation further, and that'll really lay the groundwork. So then the question does become kind of what opportunities to either work to get it in the capital budget, advocate for that this year, or for what would be 2025, and or external grants and opportunities. But those, so we're kind of looking at where people will have any additional comments, and then where ways to maybe any refinements or tweaks. And then also when we check in with the cohort on the 19th, if there's any other additional considerations, we can, if we need to do further engagement, we can certainly explore that as needed. But we're getting towards the end and hoping to be able to finish in time to have it in a position to advocate for budget requests this year.
Any questions for Thomas regarding the park plans? Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Esser Plaza, Jacky.
Yes, Esser Plaza, moving right along. I think we have a new bid due date, right, Kitty, at the end of this week. So that's exciting. That means we'll be getting numbers from contractors and then figuring out who will proceed with delivering the scope of work. So we're moving right along for this summer delivery.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Jacky. Any questions about the park? So now we're going up the hill to Southside Park. Kitty,
The
anything?
contractor for PWSA is working very hard. It's amazing the mess they've created and all the holes they've dug and stuff. So we're definitely moving forward with the preliminary work that's needed to be done before the actual master plan work begins. And then I just want to put a plug in for Saturday's spring social at Vellum, starting at 5 and going until 9, which will be a fundraiser for both the park and Esser Plaza. So thanks.
Thank you. So I did want to share some information from Duquesne University. Tim Lewis had planned to attend, but is not feeling well. And he said that St. Patrick, his impression of St. Patrick's Day was that it was not too bad compared to many years ago. And he had only received one complaint, and the Duquesne University police went over, the party was shut down, and they are meeting I think it's Tim and others at the university are meeting with the students from that house. We're not going, it's confidential information, so we won't know what, what consequences there may have been, but they're in, I may want to say they're in the system. So if they continue with any additional parties that are problematic, then it goes up to, it's now with the Office of Student Conduct. It could very well go to their professional school. If they're athletes, it goes to the athletic director. And it could be problematic as to whether or not they can continue with the university. So they are taken seriously, these when parties are problematic. He's coming in, the school's coming into the end of the academic year. And so what Tim does he contacts students through his many posts and speaks to them about move out trash, and that they should start putting a few things out the Wednesday before trash collection rather than blocking the sidewalk and putting everything out, either on a weekend or the day before they move. And I think that things have gotten better. We're not seeing as much move out trash as we may have in the past. Let's see, final exams begin on Thursday, May 2nd. Graduation is Friday, May 10th. And he continues to talk with students who are planning to move to the South Side. The juniors and sophomores can move to South Side, can move off campus. And he has a whole presentation and really shares the ins and outs of now being a renter, and then also about the importance of being good neighbors. He's talked with, and whenever he hears about students that live on the south side, he does ask about their experiences. And what he has shared is this year they are enjoying south side for the many benefits that they have, walking along the trail, just the restaurants and the neighbors. So it's all good. I did not put in the updates here about the parking authority. Matt could not attend, and hopefully Joyce, you may be able to nudge parking authority to have a representative here. I did send out the residential permit parking stats, and we've talked a lot about II, and because of the UPMC parking lots that many of their employees do not use and instead park on the street, which is problematic for residents. I noticed that in II for the month of March, there were only 10 tickets during the day. And I'm just not sure what to say about that. And then also I'm talking to him, Peter, this has a bit to do with you and the businesses. There's a barbershop called Cutting Up, and they are parking in no parking area. And we've heard from some the owners of Jack's Bar, and about concerns, one about the parking, and then other at different times, those that are parking there, and they're associated with the barbershop. They're selling things out of their cars. I know that last year they may have had set up a little barbecue next to their place, which is in front of the I think it's First National Bank. And I know that a bartender from Jack's has talked with the manager of the bank, and they are, they're not happy with this going on. So I know that Bob's office is aware of it. I've asked that they consider putting kiosks there. Apparently parking is okay now. It's not problematic because of the bump out in front of Esser's flower shop, but they're now using, there's an assumption that they can park there, and they really are getting free parking, and they've been getting free parking for a while. So I think you may want to talk with Streets on Carson. They can provide a little more information too. And then we need to see how we can move this forward with police, with the ticketing by the parking authority, and then also having kiosks put up. We might as well get the revenue.
Where is the parking? I guess you lost
It's
me.
where Streets on Carson is.
Yeah.
So the space right in front of, there's a barber shop next door.
Okay.
And there, if you walk past there, you'll see that now there are like 4 or 5 cars parked, starting maybe where Streets is, all the way down to the entrance of First National Bank.
So you don't have to pay to park there?
Correct, because it originally was it was no parking at all, I think maybe ever. And with the bump out being put in with the East Carson Street work, there's a bump out. So they have now decided to park there, and they've been doing it for more than a year and have never gotten tickets, so why not? And I think the enforcement for parking on East Carson Street has normally begun at South 12th Street, going all the way up. So the enforcement officers they're used to starting on South 12th Street by Esser Plaza. So they're not conditioned to do the block before. So it's a problem that I continue to hear about. When I was at one of the ship meetings, I had talked with the owners of Jack, and they had a lot to say. And it's consistent with what their bartender has said. But the bartender also shared asked that we speak to those at the owners of Streets on Carson and also the manager at First National Bank.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay. So we're into development activity meetings. Jacky, can you share what's happening with Southside Community Council?
Sure, we have a development activities meeting next Thursday, 6 p.m. If you follow our newsletter, you have received a notice for that on Monday. We have one project. It is Sport Pit. It is just some minor alterations to their already existing addition on the rear of the building. We only have one agenda that evening.
Mm-hmm. Cara, anything for the slopes with a dam?
Nope, no dam updates from the slopes.
Okay. All right. Government officials, State Rep Jessica Benham.
Hi, everybody. We are in session this week and a lot of weeks coming up. I think I did the math at one point, and something like 10 out of the next 12 weeks we will be up here. So it is a lot of travel. And if you all don't see me around as much as usual, that is why. The biggest updates from me is just flagging that we've got a free paper shredding event coming up May 11th, 9 to 11 a.m. in the Brentwood Civic Center parking lot. And then there are a number of legislative updates as well that I think are particularly significant. First, I just will note that the ban on ghost guns has passed the House and is now in the state Senate. So that is a ban on essentially untraceable weapons. These are typically guns that are 3D printed at home and they are not serialized. We do find that there are some issues with weapons like this in our communities, and because they're not trackable, it becomes very difficult for our public safety officials to keep an eye on what's going on. And then when the weapons are confiscated, as happens in Southside quite a lot of the time, it's hard to track them if they don't have serial numbers. So that's important. It is budget season, so a lot of the conversations we're having up here are around the budget. I think there's some really interesting things in the governor's initial proposal that we're working off of. Funding for public education, funding for main streets and small business development, additional funding for public safety, things like that, that I think are really relevant to Southside, and I'll certainly keep you all in the loop as those conversations are moving forward. So those are the biggest things happening over here for me that are relevant to Southside. And then I'll also just flag too, because I know a lot of folks do drive on Brownsville Road. So this is not specifically Southside, but the city has gotten a large federal grant in addition to some state funding to do pedestrian improvements to Brownsville Road throughout Carrick. And I think that's going to be really important. So for folks who drive on Brownsville, keep an eye out for those improvements coming soon. It will take, I think, a few years to implement everything. Hopefully not as long as it took them to do things on Carson Street, fingers crossed. But I think that will be exciting to see come to neighborhoods nearby that many of us drive through. So that's it from me. Do folks have any questions?
Okay. Suzanne, anything to share with us?
We also are going to be hosting we just hosted a shred event this past Saturday in Penn Hills and had over 400 cars come through, but we're hoping to do another one on May 4th at Carrick High School. It's got to finalize a couple things, but it'll be on our webpage once that's finalized. And I don't know if you guys saw the senator had donated money to Southside kids for the eclipse classes, and they ended up on Good Morning America. Did you see that?
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew about the money. I knew about the contribution, but didn't realize they were on Good Morning America.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, other than that, anyone have any questions for me that I can take to the senator? No.
We know that he's going to support the ban on ghost guns. So
Yeah,
yeah, thank him for that.
I certainly will. He's in Harrisburg right now too. So, but yeah, so no, that's all I got.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks for the good news. Well,
Mhm.
both. The shredding is always important. I keep missing them and getting more stuff to shred.
Yeah. So okay. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't think anyone from Aerion Abney or Congressman Summerlee is on the call. So we'll go to organization reports. Jimmy, I have you on first.
Hi.
Hello.
We actually had a meeting today. Recently, we've been working with Revive Marketing Group and Made in Pittsburgh. We're trying to create a social brand for Carson Street to promote it positively through Instagram and everything. With going along with trying to get a Main Street manager. We also have a security training program set up. Will be held at Enclave for all the bars and restaurants around. It's a 12-hour program. We're trying to knock it down to 6 if we can. Each participating bar will have to pay funds to hold that, and then everyone will get a certificate, and that'll help out just the view of Carson Street. And also SHIP is taking over for the clean team on Earth Day. All of our restaurants and stuff are volunteering to clean the south side up and give those guys a break on Earth Day.
Wow, you guys are great.
I appreciate that. We appreciate everything you guys do. So thanks.
Yeah, it just is really nice to see us all working together.
I couldn't agree more.
And thank you for the food at the last neighbor night. It was great.
Good. I hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Hey, Cara.
Yep, not too much going on in the slopes, but we are having our first cleanup of the year tomorrow night. We're meeting at Bandy Sham. We'll have bags and gloves and grabbers and trying to clean it up for this beautiful spring weather.
How was your meeting last month? Do you know?
Yeah, I had to leave early last month because we did have our general meeting. It was well attended and a good meeting. We elected a new board member, so we're up to 10 board members out of 11, and there were definitely some other people that were interested in joining as well. So I think we'll be up to a full roster shortly.
Hey, that's great. Peter, Chamber.
All right, Southside Chamber of Commerce report. This is good. Usually it's like 5 people hanging on at the end of the meeting, but I think we're moving through quickly, so I got a lot more people to report to, so I'm excited about it. Let's see. The golf outing is in the works right now. That is one of our annual events. I don't know if anybody is a golfer in the group. I am not. I've never been, but if you are, you should go. I'm told it's like the food is amazing and it's a really great event. It's at the South Hills Country Club. And it will be it's being held on August 5th. So keep your eyes open for more to come on that. The chamber is going to be having a board retreat. We set a date. It's going to be June 15th. Sorry, none of you are invited, but hopefully it'll be a good meeting for us and help us kind of figure out our mission and our vision for the organization as we move forward. A number of businesses are opening in the district, so we're excited and we want to celebrate that. So we're going to be pushing an initiative of ribbon cuttings. We've got our big giant scissors ready, and we're approaching all these new businesses and offering to do a ribbon cutting for them, and hopefully we'll be able to get some social media and maybe traditional media around that, and start to demonstrate that it's not just businesses closing in the district, but they're also opening. Sociable City Summit's coming up in Dallas. Dawn, I understand you're going to that. I'll be going to that. I know there's a pretty fairly big group from Pittsburgh. So I'm excited. That's in about 2 weeks. What else do we have? Oh, and the last, and probably should be first, Ed John stopped by our board meeting last week to talk about the Main Street Manager Initiative and the bid initiative. He brought a whole cadre of folks with him, including Aaron Suknick from the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. Also, John DeMaro came. Don Carlson, who's on our board, he came, but he's heavily involved in that. And I think they really mapped out a great process and really helped us understand kind of what the initiative, sort of the potential of the initiative, and really got us all excited. So the chamber is definitely 100% on board. We will be supporting that effort as much as we possibly can. Starting with a letter of support, but that's sort of hopefully the least of what we're going to be doing. But yeah, we're ready to push this forward.
So at our last meeting, you said that you had a goal of 200 people joining the chamber.
That's correct.
I'm going to be asking about that each month. So
okay. I don't have an updated number as of today. Yeah, and I don't want to throw out a number if it's wrong, but I know we're not quite, we're like on our way to 100, but we're not quite there yet. We're probably, I mean, I said I won't throw out a number, but we're probably getting to like 60, 70. Our goal for the end of the year is 200. And the primary reason for that personally is you get on the book of lists in the Pittsburgh Business Times. If you have 200 members, that's not the bottom. That's like into the list. That's like deep into the list. So we figure that's a very achievable goal, and that's what we're pushing towards.
Okay, we need to support you on that.
Thank you.
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah. You mentioned the new business celebration. Could you briefly just tell me what are the new businesses that we're seeing down there on Carson Street?
Sure. We've got the Culture Kitchen just recently opened. I think maybe St. Patrick's Day weekend might have been their first official weekend. It's where
excuses
used to be. There's a boba tea shop that's across from Starbucks that's in the process. They have signage up, and they're probably gonna be opening soon. I know that the Pitch Pizza actually was open. I think that's like a temporary opening that they have during the St. Patrick's Day weekend, but they're going to be hopefully finishing up their construction. That's where Local used to be. So they should be opening soon. There's a chicken, I don't remember the name right now, I probably should, but it's escaping me. It's across from the Urban Tap, is also, I think, on the verge of opening if it hasn't already. And there's probably a couple of other businesses that I'm forgetting to mention.
DP Dough is one of them, the calzone place. That's where Jimmy John's was. They're opening. They
that's a DP. Yeah, DP actually is open. Yeah, we're approaching them. So as we see these businesses opening, our membership committee sort of has a process. We're approaching them, asking them if they'd have, the car wash also, that's going to be opening soon. We actually do have a ribbon cutting scheduled with them when they open. I don't remember the date offhand. Does that answer your question, Mike?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. I'm aware of all those ones you said now that you said them, but we walk by them and I see it, and then I guess it goes in one and not the other. But okay, I get it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Jacky, if you can share community council information.
Thanks, Barb. Yeah, so coming up on Earth Day, we of course have the big block watch cleanup April 20th. If you'd like to participate, please go on our website and sign up. We would like all volunteers to sign up, pre-register prior to showing up. We also have an Ormsby Children's Garden Day on the following Monday. If you'd like to volunteer there, please get in touch with Kathleen Petrillo on the Community Council. But I think the biggest thing I just want to have people put a pin on for May is the home and garden tour will be on Sunday, May 19th. They will be done together this year, which is great. And in conjunction, we will be doing the brand launch of the new Southside brand. So we will be having an event on the corner of 18th and Carson in the parking lot. So we're in the planning stages right now. So I have probably have more to talk about that on the next planning forum meeting, but I wanted to make sure everyone is penciling that in for a 10 a.m. start on Sunday, May 19th. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jacky. Joyce, you have your hand up, and Mike, is your hand still up, or okay, Joyce?
Quick question for you, Jacky. I saw that you sent the paperwork in to reserve the parking authority lot on 18th and Carson. Did you ever hear back from the parking authority? Do you need help bumping them?
No, I'm good. I'm just waiting for my certificate of insurance from our broker to send it to them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Southside Community Action Network, Dawn and/or Roe.
Sure. Well, the big thing is our 1-year anniversary is happening next on Tuesday. So this is a big everybody here attends, and ideally bring a couple of people with you. There'll be some special guests. We have a cake. There are some giveaways. So far we have 58 registrants, which is really, it's pretty high for this at this point, like a week before. So that's really great. We're hoping for about 100 people to come. Time Me Up is graciously donating the catering. To register, all you need to do is go either to our website. I know we're sending flyers out, a newsletter is going out tomorrow. So there's a lot of places that you could find a registration link. So if anybody needs to have an invitation resent, let me know. I'll be happy to send that out. And that is Tuesday the 16th. Other news is we're moving forward with our process to become an independent 501c3. We met with Cindy and Lori Lasanti on the accounting side to try to help us with the next step, which is to fill out a 1023 form. So that's a big deal. So Cassandra and I were going to start with that, and then Cindy and Lori will help us through it. We're hoping to have our nonprofit status firmed up by July. That's our hope. Other updates is we're putting together a draft letter with the hope that it could be signed by not just us, but also the council and the chamber to request additional public safety resources during the warmer weather when we expect a higher level of activity on East Carson. So once that draft is put together, which is on my bench right now, I will send it around to you guys for feedback. On litter and beautification, flyers are being printed as we speak, and they will be given to residents to increase awareness for people to use the blue bins and not the blue bags. Well, website is up and running. If you haven't seen it, please do. Ashley Cortazzo has done an amazing job on it. There's a new section she added called Down the Block, and what that does is it highlights one business per month on our social media. For this month, it's Big Dog Coffee. The plan is to invite businesses to complete a form to be sent to us to be considered. It could be not just restaurants; it could be any business whatsoever. And lastly, we are moving forward with next steps for funding a Main Street manager. We have some meetings scheduled with Senator Costa, the Hillman Foundation, and Walnut Capital this month. We did request money from over 2 years from the Birmingham Foundation, but they are unable to support that right now, but we will reach out to them again in the fall. We are looking to set up meetings with Eaton Hall, Mellon, and Allegheny Foundations. So if anybody has any contacts that can help us through that, please let us know. Any questions for me?
With the letter that you're putting together, remember the Slopes Association too.
Okay, good call. Thank you. I will do that.
And then of course,
Cara, would that be you? I should send that to you for feedback.
Yep, I can definitely be the liaison for the board.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ro.
Sure.
Kathy Hamilton, we're happy to see you, or at least see your name. So anything that you would like to share? Pastor Dora has been doing a nice job. It's been a little bit difficult for her to attend meetings, but she usually sends an update of the work that she has been doing over the month.
Well, hello. God bless you all. And welcome spring. It is glad to see it here at the moment. We'll see how long it continues. And it's great to be here. Thank you. You're all doing great stuff.
Okay. All right. Anyone have anything else to share?
I'll share really quick just that there was a press event launching kind of the beginning of the comprehensive plan. We are still in the process of the city planning is working with law and getting the consultants under contract for that. The hope is to have probably in the summer significant engagement kicking off. But there's an engage page that was launched a few weeks ago. I'll put that in the chat here. It's mainly kind of, you can put your name on the list there to follow updates, and there's some helpful information and background about what the plan intends to do and some of the kind of the basic values guiding it. So I wanted to make sure people were in the loop. Many more updates to come as that gets fleshed out further.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, if nothing else, it's 6:49, and our next meeting will be May 14th. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.